What is going on, everybody? This is Splurge bringing you Krash Season 3 Week 2 Power Rankings. It's been a short while since Week 1, and so yeah, we're bringing you Week 2. It was another interesting week. We had a couple of the higher seeds playing each other, a couple of the lower seeds playing each other. It made a real mess for my Power Rankings. So we're going to try and sort this out as best we can. So, the games that we had this week are as follows. We had Jimmy of the Pittsburgh Reggie Steelers, who is currently in 6th for the Diamond Conference, playing against Scoot aka Zancro for the Blackmont Rye Cougars, who was leading the Diamond Conference as well. We had Vish of the New World Orders in 3rd for Diamond as well, playing Sketch of the Winston Weavars, who was joint 1st, I believe, for Pearl. We then had Phantom Base, the New York Cosmogs, playing against Crypto of the Amity Ampharos, followed by Malone of the St. Louis Sword Blues playing against Jake of the Charlotte Beedrills. We then had Brett and the Riverside Otters playing against Ducksuck of the Far-Fetched Flyers. Slap of the Ottawa Aurus playing Mike of the Kandahar Crocodiles. Bash of the New York Metagross playing Levenant of the Tulsa Infernos. And finally, KHD of the Jersey Pursuits playing Orozco of the Tarak Obamas. So some interesting games. And so coming in at number 16, we have our current and continuing bottom of the league, unfortunately, in Levenant of the Tulsa Infernos. What can I say? This game, yeah, it was painful to watch. What I can say out of this is the draft needs work. Not sure what, it just needs work. You shouldn't be having to bring a Sand Slash to a game, in my opinion. It's just not a quality mon. It's not a low tier mon which you think that can actually do stuff. The Zoroark play was weird. I mean, I don't understand why you didn't go hard into Finny, as you should have been able to outspeed and haze off. You had the Zoroark button to click later in the game. Yeah, just some interesting things occurring. Coming in at 15th, we also still have in 15th Mike of the Kandahar Crocodiles. I have a couple of questions. So, question 1: why are you setting stuff? Why are you setting stuff up outside of Vale? That doesn't add up. I mean, the whole point is that so Vale elongates the life of glass cannons, so it ups the damage output. I mean, some interesting choices nonetheless. I can't move you up or down because of. I mean, you played well, yes. Just it was somebody who's similarly placed currently in their division and on my PR, so this doesn't reflect well, this loss, unfortunately. Come back next week, play better. I don't mean play better. Prep better. Prep better. Be smarter. You know, it'll work out at some point. Coming in at number 14, we have Phantom Base of the New York Cosmogs. Yeah, I guess this is the kind of game I'm going to have to watch each week, isn't it? I mean, you put yourself in a nice position to cause issues with Stoutland. The burn was unfortunate, but Matt, what was your check to Skarmory? How are you going to deal with Skarmory? Because you just had the whole point of your draft turned on you. I mean, it's something where that's easy to point out in the end game, but you could see it inside the first 20 turns, and you just had no offensive presence to really pressure it. And once the rest of the offensive presence had disappeared, there was no chance. I seem to remember that, so in post-draft I said that this draft, for what it wants to do, lacks a reliable cleric and lacks a reliable wish passer. If memory serves correctly, I'm now going to get bitten on the ass for that statement. But the lack of a reliable cleric soundly bit you on the ass here. Yeah, it's not a bad draft, it's just there are a couple of things that need tweaking, and yeah, food for thought. The Mega Gyarados plays were certainly interesting as well. Either way, that's by the by. Coming in at 13th, I know you whined about your placing last week, but so I want again let the record know that so between, I'd probably say 14th and it was 14th and 9th, I believe. 14th to 9th, I couldn't work out how to properly and accurately split you guys up, just so you know. But so at 13th we have Jake of the Charlotte Beedrills. There is no denying that this was a tight game. There's no two ways about it. You played well, and you definitely did lose to a crit. You had the game won out were it not for the crit with Pharaoh. However, my question is why was Pharaoh such an issue in the first place? I mean, I definitely feel for you, but I feel like Pharaoh was one of Malone's headline mons that you need to deal with, because Pharaoh is something which is able to set up, it has Leech Seed, and it's kind of hard to kill unless you actually have a solid fire type on the squad which just threatens it out every single time. Either way, I'm sorry I've dropped your position. You do deserve better, but this is just how I've managed to squeeze everybody in. You could have been here, you could have been at high as 9th. I just couldn't decide how to split these guys up. Coming in at number 12 with a bit of a slip down the rankings, we have KHD in the Jersey Pursuits. Again, this is probably a bit harsh, but this is where I can fit you in with trying to also acknowledge the people who have won games who were slightly further down the orders. What can I say about this game? You lost on prep. Like this is one of the big things with Orozco's team, is it could go offensive and it can also go flat stall, and it went flat stall, and yeah, that was the end of your game. No two ways about it. I didn't see much hacks, I don't think, but yeah, no cleric kind of spelt death for this game. I mean, I can understand why you didn't bring one in the first place, but so the prep really won and lost this game. Prep won and lost this game. Yeah. Coming in at number 11. We'll say that just one more time. 11. We have Malone and the St. Louis Swabblies. You're staying at 11. What I literally said was, well, that was mental, and you really did win on a crit. You played Pharaoh very patiently, which is the big thing, and it so having played patiently with it, I wouldn't say got rewarded, but you were given the out in the crit, and you came back to produce quite a nice piece of tech to let you win. Props for that. Another win which isn't nearly as hacksless both ways, and yeah, that's a recipe for you really jumping up the order. coming in at number 10, we have Slap of the Ottawa Aurus. This was a far more confident performance, and the seismic play worked this time. You generally were able to reliably hold off the setup spam. Perfect Steeler set for the matchup. And yeah, you just played patient, let the setup sweepers come and go. You ensured that Veil didn't matter too much when it did. You're kind of let off by a couple of Muns deciding to go nuclear without Veil up. And yeah, also, I think that's the first time I've seen Plasma Fist's secondary effect come in handy in a competitive situation. Either way, I like this game. I liked how you play it. More please. And you're jumping up the rankings quickly. Coming in at number 9. Number 9 is Brett of the Riverside Otters. I liked a lot of the prep here. It just didn't pull off brilliantly. I can't offer much past that. This is just a rough loss. Simple as. Come back next week, fight better. You've lost to one of what I'm starting to see as one of the more consistent teams, which will be reflected with where they're placed in the PR. Yeah, there was a lot of hacks going back and forth in this game as well, wasn't it? This is a bit of a hacksy week, I feel. But yeah, you nearly managed to get off with the Altaria, but oh, excuse me. By the by, number 8. We're at number 8, and we have Crypto of the Amityville Ampharos. Yeah, this game was a bit back and forth. Not a confident win, as he kind of relied on a burn from SUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUUU better than last week, where you got caught out by some really, really hot heat. But yeah, yo-yoed back up to 8th. Let's try not to drop back to 10th next week. More of this, more confidence going forwards. Keep it up. Coming in at number 7. 7 to 1st is an absolute mess, may I just say. Coming in at number 7, we have Scoot, aka Zancro, of the Blackmont Cougars. Now, this is the one which I've written the most about again. And so for those who don't know, Zancro left after week 3, which we'll talk about in the week 3 power rankings. But so let me set something straight for the record. So I don't know whether or not you're actually listening to this, Scoot, if you ever will. But that is not how you respond to losing a game. Because you understood full well what kind of matchup this was. And stating that you're flat out a better player because you lost, quote unquote, to hacks. That just doesn't work. That you don't also get the better player badge because you lost to hacks. Hacks is a win con, yes, but the way that you played this game, it did not reflect that of being a better player. You chose some really unreliable ways to go about beating this team. 2 rest talk mons. You're in the hands of RNG about whether or not you get the right sleep talks choices. And then so, whilst the Lando was weak, why didn't the Lando come in instead of Whimsicott? If you're Scarf Lando, you knew that. So one, you'd knocked off the assault vest on Jirachi, and so then why didn't the Scarf Lando come in? Because you could click the U-turn or you could click Earthquake, one of the two, and you would have done a reasonable amount of damage, but instead you chose to sack off Yuxi, hard sack off Yuxi, which was a bit unfortunate on the flinches, and then decided to let Whimsicott effectively go down to Jirachi. I mean, so in actuality, you may or may not be the better player, but your prep stank, and you went for the unreliable checks instead of trying to cut Jirachi's damage output off early and trying to get the game moving again. And the other thing is on the topic of the hacks, okay, you probably lost on the lion's share of it, but the hacks went back and forth this game. Okay, so Tsunami, who has taken over this team, Tsunami, listen to this. Don't be like Scoop, please. Thank you. Coming in at number 6, we have, quite surprisingly, Sketch and the Winston Weavers. Sketch. You know I'm going to roast you for this. This is a solid game, especially for someone not native to using offensive screens kind of styles. There are a couple of roles which I guess didn't fall your way, which could have turned the game, but it was impressive nonetheless. The Milotic play I kind of understand, but so from what I could screen off of it, it wasn't confirmed whether Staraptor was choiced or whether it had Roost, so I guess you could have played slightly more patiently to see what would happen. Either way though, that's a small bone to pick. It's nothing big. You've dropped back to 6th though, because it's kind of the top 7 to me feel like they are a head above the rest, and actually it's just a mess trying to sort out you guys. Coming in at number 5, we have Jimmy and the Pittsburgh Red Steels. Whilst I did give Scoot a lot of stick for being quite outspoken about this game, RNG kind of did set you up for this win. I specify RNG and not hacks, as to my mind hacks is specifically more kind of stat calculations, drops and critical hits, whereas RNG is more kind of the benign number generator rolls in terms of static paralyzes or sleep talk RNG, which is the specific thing which kind of paved the way for you to be able to really win this game. You capitalized on Jirachi doing Jirachi things, and then you played for the win, and you played yourself into a situation for Houndoom to win. It's a solid win. I can't complain. It was hacksy, yes, but games are going to be hacksy. You can't really complain. Coming in at number 4, we have a Roscoe of the Tarak Obamas. Yeah, I can't really say much more than what I said for KHD. You won this game on prep, and it was a confident build for a slightly bold change of pace, and it paid off very well. Good job. Coming in at number 3, we have the most improved draft from post-draft, with Vish and the New World Order. What did I say? Oh yeah, just what a game. Impressive prep. This is probably the establishing game to put. I put this draft too low in post-draft rankings. Not to make it sound cliche at all, but I guess this is then the MV draft of Krash Season 3. There was a lot of close calcs and rolls, which could have tilted the game. I mentioned that with Sketch, but I trust that they were mostly kind of middling rolls from the lack of uproar from either of you over it. You kind of got given an out by Sketch playing aggressively at the end, so I am assuming that Staraptor had one of it was Roost, but I'm pretty sure the matchup at the end you won, unless the Milotic burned the Staraptor on the first turn it clicks gold. I think you'd know better. Either way, a really good game. Good game to watch how two offensively dialed teams deal with each other. Coming in at number 2, we have Duck and the Far-Fetched Flyers. I respected this game because actually you also played against quite a hard opponent, but this was much more of a comfortable win, even in the face of hacks, which was what I expected most. You played around the outer area, even with some unfortunate hacks. I don't know if in the end, the Will-O-Wisp, missing the Will-O-Wisp was actually preferable, but hindsight be hindsight in that way. And you held on to Megalati and abused it for the end game, and it showed that you comfortably won against a team which is, in my opinion, no pushover for a team, which is why you're at second. Second and third I could probably switch interchangeably because both matchups were quite engaging to watch in how they played out. The only reason that you got second is probably because of the hacks amount that got included in this, which finally leaves us with Bash at number 1. Probably could have switched this around a bit, in kind of like you played against 16th place, but yeah, it was just such a dominant display. You managed to spec out everything of Lev's quite early on. Serp's set was the best set to bring, and then you just slowly tightened your hold on the game. It was a really solid win. It was impressive to watch. But yeah, that is week 2 power rankings done in 22 minutes. Week 3 should be coming. We're recording it on Thursday, I believe, and hopefully we will have 1 or 2 of the other mods or admins with me. But yeah, so I hope everybody has a good week. I shall see you all in the next one. Enjoy playing week 4. I enjoy looking forward to watching the week 3 games. Have a good one. Bye.